Better up.
Rob and Chris, they're on the air. Yankees, Mets, they're everywhere. From the Bronx to Queens, the diamond gleams. MLB talk, the ultimate team. MLB is the place to be. Rob and Chris with the pitch you'll see. Swinging stacks and stories fly. Baseball talk that's amplified.
And welcome back to the show. Sorry about that little glitch we had, but I think we are back. Rob, Chris, and we are NYMLB Talk. And remember, if you're on YouTube, which I hope you are now, hit that like and subscribe button. We'd appreciate it. And remember, you can follow us on TikTok and Twitter/X at NYMLB Talk. Rob at Almaraska, myself at CP7NY. Armand, yes, man, what's going on? Thank you for hanging in. We apologize for with the little issue, but we're back.
And let's get to where we left off, Chris. What did you ask me?
Something about Bo Bichette signing with the Mets. That was a pretty big deal, I think.
Yeah, that was a shock. We didn't see that coming, really. You know, Tucker, we were disappointed about Tucker the night before, and everybody was on social media was crying, and then all of a sudden, the next morning, the Mets signed Bichette. And listen, I'm glad they did it. They didn't make Armand. I agree with you. It's not a panic move. They probably had it as Plan B if they couldn't get Tucker. That's what I think it is. So I agree with you 100%. I'm sick of these people crying that the Mets aren't doing anything. Then when they do something, they're crying that that it's a panic move. What if that's a panic move? Then I'm all for panic moves, Chris.
Right? Yeah. No. In that sense, it is. But I understand why people would say it would have been that it is a panic move because they did overpay for the guy a little bit. Right? They went a little bit above and beyond what the Phillies. I know we're going more years, but a little less money. They win a little bit more per year. And, when you look at it, you're putting him in a position, first of all, like, not being a good shortstop, right? Now you're going to move him to third base, or at least that's what the plan is now. Things can change, obviously, by the time, opening day starts, right? We have no idea what the plan is. But right now, they're saying he's going to be the third baseman, right? And Brett Beatty is going to be more the utility guy, almost like what Jeff McNeil was last year, right?
Right.
So, I mean, was it a panic move? Like you said, they needed to make a move. So, was it a panic move? I think they went a little bit above and beyond what they probably should have paid for the guy because you're getting, really a one-dimensional player. You're not getting a good defensive player at all. He's not a fast runner, but yeah, he's one hell of a hitter. He's definitely a good hitter. We've seen that. So maybe they could DH him a little bit more so you don't put him out on the field. But yeah, it's a move that they had to make. And I think they got to start working things out because now you got a glut of infield guys, right? You got the Beatty, you got Simeon at second. You got Acuna who you could, play. You got Vientos. You still got to fit somewhere. And Polanco is at first base. So,
which is a little rough, but
I don't get it. Here's the other thing too. Like if I'm a Met fan, I'm kind of curious from the beginning of the season, what was the thing? Run prevention. The Mets wanted better run prevention. They went the complete opposite in the offseason, right? By adding, Polanco to play first, who's never played first. And now they're adding Bichette to play third, who's never played third. So you're adding two bad defenders to positions that they haven't played yet. So I don't know how that's going to work out. Is it going to work out good? I don't know, but we shall see. Offensively, they're good. I think offensively they're back to what they were, I think, at least somewhat.
Chris, but yeah, okay, all right, maybe a panic move, whatever. But at least it's a move,
right?
and it's a good move. Is for his bat. I love his bat. And listen, the Mets are going to make some more moves. We both know it. And they're going to come up pretty soon because spring training is knocking. We're knocking on the door of spring training. That's a good point, Armand. The offense is going to be different. we don't know what's going to go on with Bellinger now, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Are,
listen, the Yankees have their best offer out there, and nobody's going over it because I think he would have signed it by now. Because whatever the Yankees did, 5 years, 160. I mean, I think that's above and beyond what he should be getting, 160 and plus. Plus, they said he might, they were offering him a signing bonus, opt-outs after year 2 and 3.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else this guy wants. I know he wants like 7 years. No one's giving him 7 years. Nobody is. I could see the Mets going shorter and more money.
And more money.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
And like you said, though, let's go back to Bo for 1 second. All right, overpayment. Yeah, but to compete with the Dodgers, you got to do something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to do something. So they're going to have to overpay if they the Dodgers. Listen, the Dodgers.
I agree on one.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. This is your best offer. And you're like, oh, I want to be back with the Yankees. Well, here you go. What else do you want? You're not getting 7 years. If someone gives him 7 years now, whoever that team might be, then go for it. Take it. But I don't think anybody's even close to that. Because when you look at his offensive profile, right, the last 6 years, 7 years, whatever he's been in the league, he's been widely inconsistent. Yeah, he won the MVP, right, in 2019. Great season. But after that, he's been inconsistent every single season. The guy even hit 160 one year. That's how bad he's been. I mean,
that's true.
Nobody wanted him 2 years ago when the Cubs signed him. And then the Cubs didn't even want him. They traded him to the Yankees last year for Cody Poteet, and they paid some of his salary. That just shows you how much they didn't even want him on the team. So now he thinks he's worth a 7-year contract at over $30 million a year. Listen, he's a nice player. I'm not putting him down whatsoever, but 5-year deal, over $30 million a year, with opt-outs after year 2 and 3, and a signing bonus. I don't know how much more you want, but if I'm the Yankees, I'm there saying take it or leave it, and I'm moving on to someone else because they got to find someone else.
I don't know if Bellinger's going to take a 2-year deal, though.
And that's for about the same amount the Yankees are offering. So I don't think he would take. And here's the other thing too: if he goes the short route, the short year 1 or year 2 route, why would he want to go to the Mets? Because I think hitting at Citi Field, he's not going to be as good as he was in Yankee Stadium because of the short right field, right?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. You're right. You're right about that.
I mean, defensively, he's still going to be great. So forget that. But offensively, I don't know if his numbers are going to be as good in Citi Field as they were at Yankee Stadium. So to take a short deal to go to the Mets, to me, it makes no sense. Unless it's like for an extraordinary, like crazy amount of money more than what the Yankees are offering. But what the Yankees are offering, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense for him not to want to sign that contract.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I don't know if the Mets are going to overpay. The Mets might overpay a little now with the short-term deal.
It's possible.
It looks like it may be headed that way. And I think Bellinger might be a New York Met pretty soon, Chris.
Yeah, I do not doubt that whatsoever. I just think it is stupid. It's a stupid stalemate that Armand was saying earlier. It doesn't make sense to me, but I could definitely see it. But if that's the route he wants to go, that's fine. But I think the Yankees got to know pretty soon so that they could say, okay, we'll move to our plan B. Like if you don't want to come here for 5 years and a pretty good contract, then adios. I don't know what else to say, but I'm happy that they're not getting into some kind of a bidding war because there's no one to bid against right now. Nobody's bidding more than what than the Yankees are. So the Yankees are offering his best deal that he's gotten so far. So I don't know of it. I'm sure they do. Just like nobody knew what the plan B was last year after they lost Soto. Nobody knew who plan B was, but it turned out pretty good. So I'm sure they got some kind of a plan B.
Now, Chris, let's get to the Philly fans for a second, okay? The Philly fans and the Phillies thought that they had Bo signed the night before, right? They went to bed confident that he was going to be a Philadelphia Philly, and the next morning he signs with the Mets. And now these Philly fans are going crazy on social media. Have you seen? Well, I know you have, but
Yeah,
some of those videos of them crying.
I know. But hey, listen, like you said, they went to bed thinking, hey, we got Bo Bichette. We got a guy. Finally, they added that bat to the lineup and a younger bat too, because that's an older team. So to get a guy that's still, relatively young in Bichette on a nice contract, 7-year contract, they thought it was done. So
Yeah, it was 7 year, 200 million, right?
yeah, it wasn't bad. I thought it was a good deal for him to sign, but he went the shorter route, more money. And we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah,
But yeah,
and
no,
then
that was pretty bad. And then they ended up signing JT Realmuto back again. He's, a 3-year, $45 million deal for, what is he, 34 years old, 35 years old?
that's crazy because, like
Yeah.
I said before, he looked old and tired in the 2024 postseason
Yeah.
against the Mets, right? And this is 2 years later, and I don't blame. Listen, I agree with Armand. It was poor joy watching those videos. It was funny because someone else said something really funny, Chris. They said they're crying over him worse than the Yankee fans were crying over Soto, and Soto actually played for the Yankees.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, obviously that, it's definitely a different kind of comparison, but yeah, at least we had him for a year and he played and we went to the World Series with him. This guy, he didn't even play with the Phillies and they thought they had him. And then the Mets came in and swooped in and grabbed him. And that's what might happen now with Bellinger. I could see it happening. They're going to offer a little bit more, maybe 40 plus $1 million a year, shorter contract with opt-outs, and maybe he'll do that. If that's what he does, then I think that's a mistake. From him personally, I don't, whatever happens, but I think of it just, to me, it doesn't make sense from a performance. If that's what you're doing on a short-term deal, I could see him doing that. If he went to the Phillies, it would make more sense, right? Because the Phillies ballpark, he's going to hit a lot of home runs, I think, there. So he could put up a big year 1 or year 2 and opt out and then maybe go in as a free agent and make more money. So I can understand that. But if he's for Citi Field, I think he's making a mistake.
And could you imagine, could you imagine if he signs with the Mets when he has to go to the Bronx for the Subway Series? It's going to be Soto all over again.
Yes, it definitely is. I could see it. The fans are going to kill him for it because they know the Yankees had offered him, this contract already, right? So once they find out, the Yankees just, offered him this contract and he turned us down for the Mets, it's going to be, not as bad as Soto part 2, because he's nowhere near the hitter that Soto is, right? He's obviously a better defender, but he's nowhere near the hitter that Soto is. So is it going to hurt? Yeah, it's going to, because, you thought that, he was coming back, especially with that contract. So, yeah, but he'll get it. He'll definitely get it at Yankee Stadium for sure.
Oh yeah, he will. And Armand doesn't think that the Phillies would have landed Bo if Tucker came to the Mets. And you might be right. Probably if the Dodgers didn't sign Tucker, then they probably would have went after Bo.
Yeah.
And you're probably right about that. But all right, so let's get to the Yankees for a second, Chris. What are the Yankees' plan B? I mean, hey, listen, they made a signing today. They signed Seth Brown to a minor league contract.
Who needs Cody Bellinger when you got Seth Brown? No, that's more of a spring training invitee, maybe AAA guy, right? Yeah, that's what that is. But yeah, I listen, to get back to Armand was saying, what's their plan B? I don't think they have one. They definitely have one. I mean, right now, if you want to go the easy signing route, right, you could get Harrison Bader. Harrison Bader is still out there. He would be fine, and you could, pair him up with either Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez out in left field, and you're set, right? Or Austin Hayes. He had a pretty good season, bounce back season with the Reds. Maybe he would be that guy. But if you sign Austin Hayes, then you probably got to keep Spencer Jones and trade Jason Dominguez because you're going to need a backup center fielder. So I think, it's one of those two, or, they might think about trading for Luis Robert from the White Sox. White Sox have had a high price tag on him, so I don't know if that's going to happen. But those are like probably your top 3 choices, but maybe someone else. I know Cook, yeah, he really cooked. But there's also like, Stephen Kwan from the Indians, right? That's also been talked about. But we're gonna see. Like, if it's not Bellinger, this is my point. Like, if Bellinger really is gonna, hold out for more and all this, I would tell him, listen, this is your best offer from us. If you want it, take it. If not, we're gonna have to pull it and we're gonna have to go on to someone else. Right? I mean, we're about 3 weeks away from pitchers and catchers reporting.
Right.
Players want to know where they're going, right? Where they're gonna, go for spring training, where they have to move their family to, if they have to move them, that they have to know all this stuff. It's already, like I said, we're less than 3 weeks away, or about 3 weeks away from pitchers and catchers reporting. So I think the players want to start finding out, or I'm sure they want to know by now where they're going to have to move to, right? So I think something's going to have to happen relatively, like this week or next week, right? I would think so. I think Bellinger's going to happen soon, because if he turns down the Yankees, he's got very limited options. Like, who else have we heard connected to him? The Mets and right? I don't know. Maybe the Phillies.
Yeah, maybe the Phillies. I don't know.
The Dodgers. The Dodgers ain't going to sign him. They signed Tucker, right? They got Hernandez. They're good in the outfield. So I don't think they're going to sign Bellinger.
What if they sign Bellinger and trade Hernandez?
There you go. That's a possibility. Then I would take Hernandez. I would put him in left field.
Yeah, Mets have a shocking addition. That's true. It was a good shock, though. Listen, I'm happy about it.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah, they needed. Listen, they needed his bat. I don't. We can't have Soto being walked, 200 times.
Right.
It's ridiculous. So the Mets made a move that they had to make. They're going to make more moves. There's talk about they're in really big for Freddie Peralta, right? They're in talks with Milwaukee, and the Mets have the pieces to trade for Peralta, right? They have young pitchers who could just step in and pitch in the major league. So the Mets have a good chance of getting them. What do you think about that, Chris?
Yeah, I would say so, and I would think they should go for him. Because like you said, they do have the prospects to do it. But here's the thing: are the Mets gonna, they might have to use 1 or 2 guys that they might have to use for Tarek Skubal if he becomes available. So are they kind of waiting out for Skubal to be available? Because I don't think the Yankees can get Skubal.
I don't think so.
They would have to literally gut their entire farm system for this one guy. I don't know if the Yankees are going to do that. The Mets have a little bit more, I think, and they have more than the Yankees. The Yankees might have top prospects. They just don't have the amount that the Mets do right now. So if the Mets are small, I don't know. Like, are the Mets waiting to hear more about Skubal before they go after Peralta? I think that could be playing into this whole thing. Otherwise, I think that's a good move listen, both teams could use starting pitching. The Mets maybe a little bit more. The Yankees have it, but they also have guys, we've mentioned already. We got, you got 3 guys coming back from surgery, right? You got Rodon coming back probably a month into the season. Cole coming back June-ish probably. And then Schmidt probably later on in the second half, right? And then all the other guys that are in the rotation are all coming off career, innings seasons that they've pitched the most innings they ever pitched. So how are they going to, respond to that? So we'll see.
And I agree. Schittler, they would definitely have to include him in a package for Skubal, no doubt about that.
And probably Lombard, who they look at as their shortstop next, for 2027. So it would be. I think it would be too much for the Yankees. The Mets, on the other hand, could, they got 3 guys that they could throw at them right now, top pitching guys, and get them probably. Maybe add another guy or 2. Maybe Beatty has to be added or something. But you know what? They could do that now, even with. That's the good thing with the Bichette, right? When you sign Bichette, now you could say, okay, now we could add Beatty or Vientos to a deal if we want to.
Okay, and Marky Mark says St. Louis Cardinals.
I don't. What for? Who? for Skubal, I don't know if they have enough for Skubal, or I don't know if they're ready for Skubal. To be honest, I don't know if the Cardinals are in a kind of a rebuild mode right now, right? They're kind of rebuilding, so I don't know if you're gonna trade away some of your prospects to get one guy on a 1-year deal, no less, too, right? So I don't know if that's the right move for the Cardinals, but I'm sure. But the Cardinals are going to be busy trading, some of their guys. They traded Arenado this past week, so finally, after what?
Finally,
right?
Yeah, and yes, Armand, they are in a rebuild.
Yeah.
So plus, remember, trading for Skubal is risky because he becomes a free agent. So if you with the Mets, of course, we've said this before when we had Mickey Callaway on. Mickey said trade everybody except for Soto for him, right?
Yep.
I would love if they got him. I would love for them to try to just sign him to a long term, but Boris is his agent, right?
Yeah, so he's going to ask for the moon, and the Mets are going to be like, well, we'll wait, and then they'll wait for the offseason, and then who knows, we'll sign him. Then, the Dodgers are going to be out there looking for, to possibly sign him, right? So that's the bad thing with trading for Skubal. Yeah, you're going to get him for the 1 year. He might be great, but we'll see. Yeah, that's a possibility too.
Yeah, the Astros are a possibility. But right now, you know what? The Mets should not be losing out to the Dodgers anymore for these players, okay? We saw the list this morning of the richest owners, right? And Steve Cohen is by far number one. So if he wants someone, he really should get that person. Diaz didn't give the Mets a chance. We've been saying this. We've been harping on this. Diaz did not give the Mets a chance to counter the offer. He was going to the Dodgers no matter what. And he proved it. His brother pitched for them last year and bragged about the organization. He feels they could win a third World Series in a row, and he bailed. And now what we're hearing about the Mets clubhouse, that could have been one of the reasons too, Chris.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And that probably goes back to with Alonso, right? Forget about run prevention. That's not the reason why they didn't sign Alonso. So that's out. You can't tell me that's one of the reasons, right? For me, like, now you got to start questioning what else was it with Alonso. I don't think he was the locker room issue either. At least I don't think so. He doesn't seem that way.
Nah, I don't think so.
I would think the reason, or one of the reasons, I was talking to my cousin who's a big Met fan as well. He also thinks, and this kind of makes more sense than anything else, is that they probably took it, a little personal when he turned down the offer a couple of years ago, the extension, right?
Right.
And last year when you signed him, he opted out again, right? So it's almost like, what else can you do for Alonso to make him happy? Right? Yeah, you want to be a Met for life. You want to do all that. He had a chance. The Yankees, the Mets offered him the 7 years, 2 years ago, to that big contract, and he turned it down. So, and now you offer him another contract, which he opted out of. So, I don't know what else you could do. So that might be it. Maybe that's why the Mets didn't push as much as they would for Alonso this offseason. Like, maybe they tried, but they were like, listen, we're not going to extend ourselves. Like, we're not going to match. If this was his first year in free agency and the Orioles offered that deal, maybe the Mets would have said, okay, yeah, we'll match that, or we'll give you a little bit more. But maybe there was a little bad blood going there,
Yeah, because I don't think that he was a problem in the clubhouse, because another thing, I'm going to go back to Mickey again. Mickey was his first manager. He said that Alonso was great, in the clubhouse. And Alonso looks like he's a nice guy. He doesn't look like he gets involved in any of that stuff. But you're right. Listen, I think there's two factors. I think if the Mets don't choke last season and they go further, the Mets might sign Alonso, right?
Right.
But also, if Alonso didn't have such a great year like the year before, maybe he doesn't opt out,
Yeah. No, exactly. I totally agree. Yeah, if he doesn't have a big year, he'd be crazy to opt out, right? So because then I think, next offseason is not going to be a deep free agency class, especially with the offensive players. There's going to be good pitching, but batting wise, there's not a lot of big bats that are going to be available next offseason. So it would have made sense for him to stay one more year and then be like the main guy, the main free agent next season. A year older, that would have hurt him a little bit, but if that's what happened, but obviously it didn't. So, but
also he's playing off of his numbers from this. What if he stayed for another year and he didn't have such a great season? So listen, you can't blame the guy. He was hot commodity, right? Yep. Baltimore, they rolled out the red carpet for him. So could you blame the guy? Listen, it's all about the money, and like we say, who we root for the uniform, right? We root for a jersey. That's basically it.
Yep, that is true. Yeah, and listen, I think the Mets, what they've done, we may not agree with all their moves, right?
Yeah,
some of them they don't really make sense, but again, we're still about 3 weeks away, right, from pitchers and catchers showing up, right? So I think there's still more moves to come, because now they have to figure out the infield. Right. I know that they're saying Polanco at first, but I still think they're going to add another first baseman, right, to go along with him. I don't think they're going to. I mean, who else is playing first base? You got Vientos. You got Beatty, maybe could play first base.
I think Beatty, like you said, I think Beatty's going to be what McNeil was. That's what I think Beatty's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year, though. I think there's still more moves to come. So we shall see, because they still need an outfielder, right? We've been talking about that all off season.
Listen, I wouldn't mind them signing Bader, re-signing Bader again.
That would be bad.
I wouldn't mind seeing that. But the Yankees might do that too. You might hear that he's back on the Yankees. The Yankees have to do something, Chris. It's been way too quiet in the Bronx, and the fans are like going nuts, yelling for Hal to sell the team, which he's not.
We know that ain't going to happen. So
come on,
I'm not going to waste my breath saying that stuff. So I would say, listen, I think unfortunately they were waiting on Bellinger, but supposedly now they're not. Then they've reported they're not going to get into a bidding war, because again, there's nobody to bid against. Nobody has matched what the Yankees have offered. So they got the highest offer. So how can you keep increasing your offer if you got no one else to bid? You're not bidding against anybody. So I think until Bellinger gets a better offer, I would say, here, that's your best offer, take it. But they have to come to, some kind of a, time here where they got to say, listen, take it or leave it, because we have to move on. We have to, if you're not going to sign this contract, we have to move on and sign someone else and or trade. That's what they were saying more. That it's more in they're more in the trade market for another bat. So I'm curious to see what that ends up being. It could be Luis Robert from the White Sox, like I said, Stephen Kwan, or there's always those other players that we didn't really think of. Like last year, nobody knew about Cody Bellinger, being traded until it happened. Right, that was the plan B after Soto left. So right now, we don't know what this other. What they're working on right now. We're just bringing up guys that, we could think of and who are the obvious choices, but there might be guys out there that they're looking to trade. So,
well, we're just going to have to see. It's getting closer, we could feel it. It's in the spring training where we're just all chomping at the bit right now because of this cold weather. It's like, we want the spring to get here. We want baseball back, football. Yeah. And a couple of weeks after the Super Bowl, there's really not going to be too much going on.
Right. Exactly. So hopefully by the end of this week, we'll get a little bit more closer to what these rosters are going to finally look like. Because right now, both rosters, there's still a couple of guys short. Right. So I'm curious to see what both Mets and the Yankees do now, to kind of finalize their rosters, because they're missing one or two players. So we'll see. Like I said, the Mets, like you said, still could get a starting pitcher. They're in on Peralta. The Yankees are in on Peralta. So the Mets, I think, that's another spot. They could outbid the Yankees for Peralta. But it really depends on who they like, right? It's not a matter of, well, my prospect is better than your prospect. It's a matter of what the Brewers think. The Brewers might like somebody, that we're not even thinking about on the Mets or the Yankees, or maybe another team, right? I'm sure I seen something the Dodgers were interested in him too. So
yeah, me too.
Surprise, surprise, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, now we've talked about it for a little while, past couple of weeks. The Hall of Fame voting is, the announcement is tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Tuesday at 6 p.m. They're going to announce who's elected to the Hall of Fame. Do you think I'm gonna throw someone out there? Of course we've talked about Beltran. We're pretty sure Beltran's going to be elected, and he'll be going in as a Met. We're not sure about Andrew Jones. Like we said, the beginning of his career, he was the best, right? When he was at the Braves, there was not a better center fielder. By the time he was with the Yankees and he finished his career, he wasn't what he was. But he still has a chance. You still think he has a chance to get in, right?
Yeah, I think it's close. I think the votes were in. He was above the 70% or 75% he needs.
I think it's 75%.
Yeah. I think he was above the last report that we got from the
votes that were in.
Yeah, so far, but it was early.
Yeah.
So that usually changes by the time, everything comes when it comes around. So I think Beltran should definitely be the guy for sure. Beltran, Armand's got Beltran, Torrey Hunter, Andrew Jones, Manny, A-Rod, Omar Vizquel. We know
A-Rod's not
getting the off the field stuff. So
A-Rod's not getting in. So
with the steroids. 75%. Yeah, it looks like definitely Beltran. After that, I think the only one that's got a shot to get in this year is Andrew Jones.
Okay. Now, do you think Chase Utley is a Hall of Famer?
I know Met fans will say no.
Yeah.
But I think he does. I think he does. Putting everything aside, what you guys like or don't like about him. But no, I think he's a Hall of Famer. I really do. I know you guys don't agree, but I think he's right there. He's obviously not a first ballot. I'm not saying he's one of those kind of guys, but he's a guy that, for a second baseman, he put up some big numbers, right? For a second baseman.
Yeah, he did with the Phillies.
Yeah, he's right up there, man. For a second baseman. Yeah, there's guys that we know should be in as well, right? Bobby Grich for second base should be in. Lou Whitaker. We say that all the time. Yeah, those guys should definitely be in. But,
and look who's here, our buddy from Turkey. How are you doing?
What's up, man? Good to see you.
Good. Yeah, good to see you out there. Yeah, we need outfield. Definitely need outfield.
You guys
definitely need outfield. and they will make a move. Listen, the Mets are not going into the season with Taylor as their starting center fielder again. There's no way that could happen.
He's a good fourth outfielder to have.
Yeah,
but he should be a starter.
No doubt about it. Listen, he's good to come in for defensive purposes, right?
Yeah.
He's a good fourth outfielder, but remember the disaster of Siri and Taylor last year. If the Mets had a decent center fielder, if they didn't let Beatty go, maybe things would have been different. Cincinnati backed in because the Mets blew it. Let's face the facts.
Yeah.
All right. That's the only reason Cincinnati Reds made the postseason. The Mets.
I didn't understand why they didn't just re-sign Bader. It made so much sense to just sign him.
He played Strata. Remember Stratomatic?
Good. So the Mets beat the Dodgers in Stratomatic baseball. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I used to love Stratomatic baseball when I was a kid. So it was great. All right, so we will find out tomorrow night about the Hall of Fame, and then Wednesday we're going to be on a show, Chris.
Yes. Who do we got coming on Wednesday?
No, not us. We're going to be on somebody else's show.
Oh, that's right. I was thinking the other guy, but yeah. Wednesday we're going to do a show with the guys from Romantic About Baseball. It's a great Facebook group. If you guys haven't joined yet, definitely join. It's on Facebook, Romantic About Baseball. And we're just going to talk about the topics that are going on about baseball now, right? With the salary cap, if it's needed, with the Dodgers and all that. So Should be fun.
Looking forward to talking to those guys. Yeah, to be fair, Siri hurt. Yeah, we know Siri hurt himself, but I wasn't really excited
Yeah,
about.
Siri's. I think Bader is better than Siri.
Me too.
If we're talking about those two guys.
And Joe Dell's out there. We need. Well, we're working on it, Joe.
Not a whole team.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe a quarter of a team you need.
Yeah,
how's that?
They've been working on it. All right, I wanted to. Most of you guys aren't going to know this guy, but I just wanted to make a quick announcement about a player who passed away. Okay, Wilbur Wood. He was a pitcher. He's a pretty good pitcher too. Passed away at the age of 84. He was in the major leagues for 17 years. Pitched for the Red Sox, Pirates, and White Sox. In 72 and 73, he had the most wins in the American League. 72, he's 24-17, and 73 is 24-20. Imagine that. Pitchers used to win 24 games when I was a kid. Now you're not going to see that. But he was a 3-time All-Star. And he developed a knuckleball. All right, that was really, really great. So I just wanted to announce that because when I was a kid, he was a really, really good pitcher, and I saw him pitch a lot. So I don't know if you ever saw him pitch, Chris.
No, he's a little bit before my time, but he was he got Cy Young Award votes 3 years, MVP votes 3 years.
Yeah.
Like you said, 3-time All-Star. He got a lot of bold numbers up on his baseball reference page. He led the league in WAR 1 year in 71.
He was good.
Yeah, no, he was. He was very good. He got some. He led the league. He was a relief pitcher as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he led the league in appearances 3 straight years when he was a reliever. Then he became a starter. All right, check this out. As a starter, he started 42 games, 49, 48, 42, and 43 games. That's 5 straight years when he became a starter.
That's crazy. And then I think there was something where he pitched. He pitched the most innings. He set some innings record too.
Yeah, 2 straight years he led the league in innings pitched. 1 year, 376 and 2/3 innings, and then the following year, 359 and a third.
You're not going to see some of these guys pitch that in 10 years.
Right. 3 straight years. 4 straight years he went over 300 innings pitched.
Yeah, but he developed a knuckleball. Listen, if you can develop a great knuckleball, you're in, okay? Because if you think about all the great knuckleball pitchers, sometimes they're unhittable. I don't know how anybody could hit a knuckleball. It's just the way it floats. But I just wanted to mention that his passing. Let's get back to the Phillies for a second. Do you think the Phillies are going to go into panic mode now? Do you think signing Realmuto for that contract was a panic mode? Because that was
I don't know if it was panic or just like I don't know what that was, to be honest, because when you look at that team, I don't like the Phillies this year. They still got really good pitching. Starting rotation is really good. I don't know. I mean, you brought back Schwarber, you got Harper, Trey Turner. Yeah, they're all a year older. So, yeah, the offense is going to be okay, but their defense, especially in the outfield, is not good.
No.
They're bringing a kid up, I think Justin Crawford to play center. They still got Castellanos, who they've been trying to give away all offseason, right? So, I don't know. That other guy, the other guy got caught for steroids, but he was a free agent anyway. Kepler. Right?
Yeah.
I think he was a free agent anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the Phillies are doing. Obviously, they're not getting Bichette, not getting Tucker. So if I'm a Phillies fan, I'm not happy. Yeah, I mean, that's part of why they flipped out about Bichette, because that was their big guy that they were signing. And I think if they signed Bichette, I don't think they would have signed Realmuto. And now, I mean, to be honest, they should be in on Bellinger. That's a guy that they should be in. If they were in on Bichette, they should be in on Bellinger, because they could use another guy for the outfield, a guy that could play right or left or center and first base, right? So
right. So we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Maybe they're in, they're thinking about him. Okay, I wanted to bring up another guy. Okay, very unhappy. He made. Listen, he had a great year with the Mets in 2024. He went for the big contract. He got it. I'm talking about Luis Severino, of course,
Right.
but he's unhappy with the A's. He doesn't like pitching in that minor league ballpark. And they're going to be there until they go to Vegas, whenever that is. Do you think? And I don't know if the Athletics would eat any of that contract, but what do you think the chances of him going? We don't hear anything about him, but there's a pitcher that probably could help a contending team.
Are you talking about the Mets?
No, I'm not necessarily talking about the Mets. I'm just talking about any team. Maybe maybe the Yankees. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think for the Yankees. I think that bridge has been burnt already.
I think so. Yeah,
because when he was here, like he had a lot of difference in opinions with the being on the IL, missing starts, all that stuff. So I don't. They were never on the same page, right or wrong. I'm not saying who was right, who was wrong, but they were never on the same page. He's got 2 years left. Just to put this out there, but he's got 2 years left at $25 million this year and $22 million in 2027 as a player option. So he's going to kick that in. So basically 2 years, $47 million left on his contract. If I'm the Mets, I'm telling him, listen, you better pay off half of that contract.
Half of it, yeah.
Right? So, and I don't know if the A's, like you said, I don't know if the A's are going to do that. I don't know, Chris. I don't know. And I'm not talking about the Mets, just the Mets. But do you think like Oakland might do that to say, listen, all right, paying him $20 million is better than paying him $40 million? And do you think he's under the radar that somebody might say, let's check it out and see if we could get him back to his 2024 form? We know he was unhappy. He last year with the A's, he went 8-11, and his ERA was 4.54. Right, pitching in that horrendous minor league ballpark. Right, like who are you getting? Right, get rid of him. Right, I'm sure they would to get rid of that contract. But think about it. That was last year. The year before for the Mets, he was 11-7. His ERA was just under 4. But the year before that with the Yankees, right, 4-8 with a 6.65 ERA.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, who are you getting? That's the problem. Like, yeah, even if they do pay down half that contract, I don't know what player I'm getting in Severino. Would it be better to sign, I don't know, Zach Gallen for 30-something million, or Framber Alvarez, Valdez, somebody like that? I would rather sign one of those guys.
But did Zach Gallen? He didn't take the qualifying offer, right?
Right. So that is attached to him.
All right. That's going to be
So is Valdez. Remember, right?
But I don't see it as much as a problem for Valdez as I see it for Zach Gallen. That's just my personal opinion. Right. I mean, listen, Bo had he turned down the qualifying offer from Toronto, so the Mets have to give up the draft and also pay the $1 million, right? But to the Mets, that's nothing. That doesn't mean much,
right,
to the Mets.
Well, it's big when you're talking about a big contract, because now whatever contract they sign is almost like a double that they got to pay. Not that they're paying the player double, but they're going to have to pay the tax, right? So because they're over the highest threshold or whatever.
Yeah,
so that's the only bad thing. Obviously, the Dodgers don't give nothing about that because they're over $400 million now in their payroll. So they really don't care. But yeah, listen, I don't know. I don't know if a team is willing to do it. Like I would rather sign a guy, that I could get as a free agent. Yeah. Maybe not one of the two top guys that are attached to the qualifying offer, obviously, but let me see for real quick.
All right.
Way we could look at.
Well,
think about it. Outside of Valdez and
Chris Bassett
and Gallen, right?
What about Chris Bassett?
You could get Chris Bassett. That's a possibility. If I'm the Yankees, that's a guy I wouldn't mind looking because he did look pretty good coming out of the bullpen in the World Series and the playoffs for Toronto, right? So
Right.
that's not a bad option. Giolito, who pitched for the Red Sox last year, he's out there. Nick Martinez from the Reds. Then you're getting, obviously you're taking a step back, right? Zach Littell from the Reds, Nestor Cortez, he was on the Yankees.
Yeah.
There's Max Scherzer and Verlander out there. Frankie
Yeah,
Montas.
stay away.
I heard that guy's pretty good.
Who? I didn't hear that. Who?
Frankie Montas. I heard he's pretty good.
I don't think isn't he still injured?
Yeah, I'm sure. If he's not, he's going to get hurt. So either way, Jordan Montgomery, former Yankee, he's out there. He might still be coming back from an injury. So there's other guys out there. I don't know. I don't know. If you could get Peralta, yeah, I think that would be the better one because, well, like you said, you got the prospects to make that move, and the Yankees are trying to push for him too. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, they definitely need another starter, right? Because we always say you never have enough starting pitching, right? It's kind of
Right.
Everybody knows that saying, but it's the truth because no matter what happens, you could have 6 or 7 starters and say, "Oh, we're set," and then 2 months into the season, you're down to 4 starters or something, right? So, we'll see what happens. So, a lot of these guys that are still free agents are big name guys, right?
Yeah, right.
So,
but Chris, the Yankees definitely have to start making a move. I mean, everyone else got better, right? I think Toronto, the Orioles, the Red Sox, everybody signed somebody. Right now, who would you pick as the favorite to win the American League East today? If you had to pick someone today,
I'm guessing Toronto again, right? I mean, they won it last year. I got to give it to them. Even though I listen, Boston's got a really good team, but they could probably use another pitcher. They could probably, use maybe another infielder, especially second base or third. There's someone, like they're still right there. The Orioles, I think got better too. And you would think a lot of those guys that didn't hit that well last year, like Gunnar Henderson and Rutschman, like they're going to bounce back. I would think.
I think so. Listen,
right? So they're going to be better. So
I think Toronto, yes, but I think the Orioles, not only because they got Pete, but what you just said, these guys got to come back. Gunnar Henderson, right? He's got to hit again. I mean, I just think last year was a fluke because really their big move was getting Morton last year, right?
Yeah,
and that was it.
Yeah, they know that they made a mistake last year. That was a huge mistake for them. If they went after a better starting pitcher, maybe they would be in, the playoffs last season. Even with Gunnar Henderson and Rutschman not exactly hitting well. And here's another guy, Matt Holliday. You got to think he's got to take the next step as well, right? He was a rookie last year. He's going to get better. So I think they're a team that's going to be better than what they were last year. How much better? We'll see because we see what happens with injuries and how the season goes. And you got to remember too, here's the other thing with all the moves all these teams are making, our teams and all the other teams, it's just to be for opening day. Because once opening day comes, then we're talking about, okay, what are we going to do at the trade deadline? Right.
Yeah,
so this is to this is kind of to get the team going, to see where you are in opening day. And because the Yankees are going to look very different by the time the All-Star break comes and the trade deadline comes, because you got Cole returning, you got Rodon coming back, right? So you got Volpe returning too. Not that anybody wants him back, but he'll be returning too. So, so just remember that too. Like this is just for opening day, but you got to get a good team for opening day. I mean, it is what it is. So.
Yeah, I just want to say good night to our friend in Turkey. It was good to see him again out there. It's the middle of the night out there. It's pretty late. All right. So, yeah, I agree with you. The teams are going to look different, of course, after the All-Star break especially, and we'll have to see what happens. I wanted to bring something up, Chris. If you could bring up John D'Acquisto's book for a second. Okay, I just want to tell everybody, All right. Fastball John. He's been on here twice already. People loved his appearances. I read this is his first book, Fastball John, and I have got to give it a great review. This book, it's just amazing. I'm surprised I didn't know about this book before, because I love baseball books. I've read a lot of them for my pleasure, and now I'm reading for the show. This book, Chris, is just this guy. It's amazing everything that he's gone through, and the people that he played with, the people that he's friends with. I don't want to give too much away, because we want people to order the book, and John's going to come back on to talk about the book. I wanted to read it because we've had him on twice, and I didn't read the book, so we really, we couldn't really talk about it. But Chris, I've been telling you a couple of the stories. How does this book sound to you?
It sounds pretty amazing. I mean, the stories you're telling me, and the stories that John gave us too when he was here, I'm sure that's part of the book too. So the guy's lived an amazing life, very interesting life. Even if you've never heard of the guy, you could look him up on Baseball Reference just to see that, yeah, he was a guy who was in the majors for over 10 years. And remember his first spring training as a rookie, he had Willie Mays and Willie McCovey on the team with the Giants. So, when you start off like that, I think that's a pretty good way to start your Major League Baseball season career, right? So,
Yeah.
But yeah, just some of the stories you've been talking about to me are pretty amazing. And that link up in the corner is the QR code for his book. So if you want to order the book by Rob's recommendation, hit that QR code right there, and that'll take you right to the page on Amazon, and you can purchase it.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, it's and I've read a lot of baseball books, a lot of them. This is one of my favorite baseball books. And not just because now that we know John, it's just, if I would have read it before that, I would have recommended it. It just has everything in it. He's like, it's just amazing. Major League Baseball player, artist. He was in a band that opened up, I think, for Chubby Checker too. And a writer and all this stuff. It's just amazing. So if you guys are looking for a really, really good baseball book, I would recommend to check out John's book. It's a good read.
It's more than just baseball, right? From some of the stories you're telling me, it's more than just baseball.
It's more than just baseball. It's a great book, and I recommend it. So, like I said, if you guys are looking for a baseball book, or just any book it's a great story, hit that QR code, check it out, and you won't be disappointed. It's one of those books that you can't put down. And, John's going to come back and talk more about this book. I chatted with him over the weekend, and I said, listen, now that I'm done with the book, you got to come on. We got to talk about the book now that I know what's in the book, and I'm filling Chris in. So definitely. So Chris, do you have anything else? Because I have a couple of announcements of future guests, but do you have anything else you want to talk to?
No, we got tomorrow, we got the Hall of Fame announcement, and maybe we'll come on and do a quick reaction to the votes, right? We'll put out there. I was hoping Bo doesn't pass his physical.
That's not going to happen. But yeah, I agree with you. Just because they're desperate doesn't mean you show it. But that's not going to happen. He's gonna, because if he doesn't pass it with the Mets, then what makes you think he's going to pass it with the Blue Jays? So that's not going to happen. All right, so we have some guests coming up, some ex-major leaguers. I just want to announce. In about a week or so, we're going to have former St. Louis Cardinal and Washington Nationals pitcher Ray King coming on. That's going to be a lot of fun. Anytime we could get ex-major leaguers on, Chris,
Definitely.
We love it. They have great stories. And then another one that's good. This is another book I'm going to read. We have former Yankee outfielder from the 77 and 78 team, Gene Locklear, okay, the Chief. He's going to come on, in about 2 weeks or so after I read his book, and he's going to be fun. But this Friday night, now you can put that up, Chris.
Oh, wait, hold on. This is
Oh,
Gene
yeah,
Locklear's
yeah.
book, right?
Okay, yeah, this is Gene Locklear. His book is The Chief: The Three Lives of Gene Locklear. He was a pretty good hitter in the major leagues, and he played for the I believe the 76 and 77 Yankees. So it's going to be fun to talk about those teams, Chris, especially
Definitely.
with you, right? You know,
And then
me
to
too.
talk about his life. I mean, he's
Yeah.
a Native American. How many Native Americans make it to the major leagues, right?
And what he had to go through, it was not easy for him.
Yeah.
But I'm going to read his book too, and then we're going to have him on after that. And then this Friday night, if you want to put that up, former New York Met pitcher Pete Falcone's going to come on Friday night at 9 p.m. and he's going to talk about his upcoming book and his career in the major leagues, especially with the New York Mets. So, make sure you're out there. We got some good guests coming up, Chris.
Yeah, should be fun. Great. Listen, like you said, anytime there's a former major leaguer on here, they're always great discussions because we're getting stories from a former major leaguer, right? We're not getting hearsay or anything like that. We're getting actual stories from players. So I always look forward to that. And, like Gene Locklear, I mean, like you said, this guy's a Native American making the major leagues. That's going to be an interesting story about that journey, about how he got there. So that'll be fun. Ray King, I think we all remember him from being with the Cardinals too, as a relief pitcher. So that's going to be probably interesting as well.
Yeah, anytime, like you said, anytime we have an ex-major leaguer, it's a lot of fun. All right, so anyway, we will see you guys. If you want to see us on Wednesday, you have to repeat that podcast one more time, Chris.
Romantic About Baseball. Give them a like or join on Facebook. They're on Facebook. It's a great baseball group. You guys will love it. If you love baseball, obviously do if you're on this show listening to us. But if you do like baseball, definitely check it out. Romantic About Baseball on Facebook. It's a great group. I think they're on Twitter too, but
yeah,
definitely on Facebook.
All right, so we'll see you there on their show on Wednesday, and on our show 9 o'clock. Former Mets pitcher Pete Falcone. See you then.